What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another NBA Rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. Tyler, we got ourselves a game 7. Kawhi Leonard and company became the first team, or this is the first time in a series that all 6 games have won. The road teams have won each time. So now we got game 7 tomorrow, road court advantage. What did you think of the game last night?
I mean, the Clippers finally went with a defensive scheme and said anyone's going to beat us except for Luka Doncic.
Mm-hmm.
And Kawhi's performance last night was one of the best ones we've seen. That's up there with Dame's 55 points from a week ago.
Right.
I mean, he was just out there. He said, I'm not losing this game. And I mean, they look good. It looks like Dallas fatigued late in both of these last 2 games. I think the Clippers had the edge going into this last game, even with Dallas having the road court advantage.
Yeah, road court advantage, it does exist. But hey, you made up a good point about the fatigue. The 2-on-1 was becoming a little more evident, and we look at Luka's stats, and I don't have them in front of me, but if you wanted to pull them up, his fourth quarters are so much worse than the first 3. It's obvious fatigue. It's obviously carrying the load, and Rick Carlisle's in a tough spot. What happens when Luka goes to the bench? They're getting absolutely crushed. Porzingis is giving him nothing. He needs Tim Hardaway Jr. to basically be like at his apex every game. So I've been flummoxed by this series. I mean, you guys heard me yesterday dancing around the pick all day. Wasn't too solid on it. And I still don't even know what to make of it. I think this is one of the toughest series, and I think maybe just because of the intuition, the fact that the road teams won every time is really screwing with me.
The one announcer hit the nail on the head last night in that game. I think it might have been Mark Jackson. Mm-hmm. He said when both stars went to the bench, Luka and Kawhi, it was Tim Hardaway against Paul George.
Exactly.
You're going to take Paul George every time.
Yeah. Even with the playoff issues there, right? And another adjustment they made, right? Don't look bug-eyed at your team star player because Rondo only got 5 minutes. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, he can't really shoot, doesn't really space the floor, and he needs the ball in his hands. And we seen Kawhi had the ball in his hands 90% of the game last night, so he had to sit on the bench. They weren't going to put him in the game and let the ball come out of Kawhi's hands.
Yeah, I mean, and so what we do, Tyler, right? We put ourselves out here. We have opinions. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong, sometimes we take the L. Let me go ahead and take the L on Reggie Jackson. I didn't think that he was going to be important in this series at all. I thought those minutes should have gone to Rondo. I was completely wrong. And what Reggie Jackson brings to this team is a confidence.
It's just the offensive threat, too.
It's an irrational swagger, like Dion Waiters, right?
Yeah, like he might get you 2 points and shoot 2 for 12.
Yeah, but he's attacking and he bellies he's going to get it, and he's not scared. And you see the scared. I mean, Terrence Mann, right? I mean, so terrible for such an exciting young player to have that happen in such a crunch
time. And it's making Luka work on the defensive end. We've seen Pat Beverly just stand in the corner, and Luka just gets to lock down the floor, save all his energy, and then go back down the other end.
And you brought it, Pat Beverly, 0 minutes last night. What did you think of that?
I mean, it's a must-win situation. He's like Montrezl Harrell. He's just all energy. Like, he can't really do anything else. Once you start to get older and then legs get slower, that energy goes away, and you're really useless at that point.
I know that. I know that from experience, Tyler. All right. So, real quickly though, how are you going to approach tomorrow's game? It'll be on for you at 3:30. For me, 12:30. Right now, it's gone between 6.5 and 6. The total's all the way down to 212, dropped 2 points. Are you going to be looking to get involved in this game, or are you going to just enjoy the game 7?
I'll probably target the under again.
Even at 212?
Yeah. I think that's just going to be just like last night's game. They were just slow-paced. The defense was heavy. Mm-hmm. I think you see that same thing in game 7, but I think the Clippers stretch that game out and win it. I mean, we talked about Dallas fatiguing in the fourth quarters these last 2 games. They have a total of 36 points in the last 2 fourth quarters. That's where they've lost both of these last 2 games.
Yeah.
Kawhi's back's against the wall. We're going to get another performance like that again. So I'll probably be on one of them like player performance doubles, him to score like 35 plus and then win. Mm-hmm. But I think they win that game. Probably stays under. That's my look. They move on and play the Jazz.
Yeah. I think it's a really tough series to call. I'll tell you what, I don't even know if I'm going to get involved in that one. But one that I am going to get involved in is the game that's going on in the morning, and that's the Atlanta Hawks, and it's the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid, still questionable. And I've read all types of different things about a meniscus tear. That one that people can play on it and then they've made it to the end of the season and it might not be that big a deal, and others that say it would be crazy for them to run it out here. There's no way he doesn't re-hurt himself in a playoff intense atmosphere, banging with Capella. So I have no idea what to make of Embiid. That being said, I don't expect we see a lot of him in game one. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Hawks and the money line, and maybe the 2.5 here. But right with those 2.5s, wouldn't you rather just grab the money line at?
Yeah, you just take the plus 120.
Yeah, I got plus 122 on Bookmaker right now. If it lands in between 0 and 2, I'll cry and be really upset. But I don't think that that's that likely. I like the Hawks money line. What are you thinking of that game?
I mean, I agree with you. I think they win the series. I think they take game one. I think they match up really well with this team. You're going to have Capella in the paint, which means Ben Simmons isn't going to be able to get these gimme layups he got against Washington. Throw him out the window. He's useless at this point on the offensive end. DeAndre Hunter is going to be key because he'll be on Harris. If he slows him down, it's literally a spot-up shooter where their offense has to come from now with Seth Curry and Danny Green. Mm-hmm. That isn't going to win you a playoff series. So give me Atlanta all day here.
All right. Yeah, so we agree on Atlanta and some interesting points. I think we talked, before we went on. Capella is really going to limit Simmons' effectiveness. He can really destroy some of these smaller centers and these more agile centers because he's that quick and that agile and that good around the rim. As much as we like to show disdain for Simmons' jump shot, he does have really nice finishing touch around the rim. And good basketball instinct. It just the jump shot doesn't fall, and everyone likes to focus on that. Defensively, how do you think that the Sixers will approach the Hawks? Like, who do you think they put on Trae Young, and do you think that Young would be able to beat them? Like, I'm thinking, what do you think? Tybal, Green?
I think it'll be just that combination of it'll probably start Danny Green, and then if he gets hot, here comes Ben Simmons. But then when he is playing that second unit, you will see Tybal on him. Maybe even they might even try and put, Maxey's not a really good defender, but he's quick. Yeah. So they might even try and throw him on him at some point when they're in there together. But
maybe just some energy because you can absorb Maxey fouls. You don't need a lot of minutes from him.
I think you're just going to see him dish the ball around this entire series. He's just going to find that mismatch wherever Curry's at, and they're just going to exploit it. I could see Bojan just having a dominant series here, just lighting it up from behind the 3-line.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, Atlanta's proficiency from behind the arc and their multiple amount of scores really comes through here. Of course, against a fully healthy Philly team, right? If Embiid was 100% here, I would be the complete opposite. This is a huge injury for this team. Embiid's the heart and soul of this team. He potentially could have been the most valuable player if he didn't miss that time. I personally would have argued for him because as their offensive numbers were rather similar, but Embiid's 5 times the defender Jokic is. I mean, his rim protection is so much better than Jokic. And that's another factor that they're going to be missing here as they're attacking the paint here with Trae Young, drive, get everybody, dish. He might even not even need to dish. So I do like Atlanta here. What do you think of Gregory Russo's point here? He says Atlanta is not playing the Knicks. Philly can actually score. What do you think of that, Tyler?
No, they can actually score. Mm-hmm. But same argument on the other side. Washington can't defend for shit.
Yeah.
Atlanta can. And they're going to stuff that paint.
Which is surprising because
very hard for them to score.
This isn't necessarily the best defensive roster, right? I mean, It really shows you how important Capella that anchor
is.
And
let's say Embiid doesn't play game one.
Yeah.
The lineup they probably put out there is going to be Simmons.
Yeah.
Harris, Curry, Green, and Dwight Howard, right?
No, they had Tybal in the starting lineup with
Embiid against. That's probably the smarter thing to do because then you have 4 guys on the floor that can still shoot perimeter shots.
Yeah,
if you put
Tybal's not that good at shooter.
Yeah, well, they're going to force them guys. Those are going to be the guys that beat Atlanta. They're going to tell them to shoot these perimeter shots and just try and beat us from outside, where they're not going to let you beat us in the paint.
I mean, I can reasonably assume that this Seth Curry is going to go off. I think Danny Green's the huge X factor here, right?
Yep.
Because he could either get 6 or an 0 for 6, right? I mean,
Yeah.
six threes or 0 for 6 from 3. He's completely streaky. Obviously, he's so huge to the defense, you're going to have to get him minutes. But if he's hitting on the offensive end, I think Atlanta will struggle to keep up. I think if he's not, then that's going to be huge for Atlanta because it's going to be so much easier for them to plan their defense around Steph Curry and Ben Simmons. So, all right, we both like Atlanta there. Did you have any thoughts on the total here, which was?
I think it's 220.
Yeah.
I'd go under. I think this is going to be defense heavy.
I mean, the Hawks were an under team this year. After being like the best over team in 2019, the Hawks went under quite often. So I don't hate that either. I love my unders in the playoffs. But a game that I don't love the under.
Spot.
Let's talk about a game that I don't love the under, Tyler. Let's talk about tonight's game. Highest total in NBA playoff history, 239.5.
I mean, after those couple regular season games, I mean, it's warranted. I mean, these two teams, everyone's calling it the de facto NBA Finals.
Well, we are at least.
I mean, I've seen articles that have called it that too.
Yeah.
But it probably is. I've flip-flopped on this series a couple of times. At first, I like the Bucks. And then I look and see that they've never played these three guys at once. Mm-hmm. And a couple of those games were really close.
They were.
And it's like now all three guys will be on the floor. It's like that probably pushes them over the top. And with no DiVincenzo, I think that really hurts. So part of me leans the Nets to win this series now. But I mean, it should be a fun one. I really hope it goes 7 games and they're competitive. But for today, I kind of like the Bucks because I think they fill them out and just give me the +4. I think it'll be a close game. I could see it being like a 1 or 2 point game.
Yeah, I'm taking the +4 too. I'm on the Bucks here, and let me just give a couple counters to what you said. So of course, if this series is -110 on each side, right, we take the Nets. Okay, yeah, that's fair, right? But it's not lined at that. For the Milwaukee price, it's up to like +166, I think. That gives me a 37% chance to win the series. I think it's way higher than that. I think it's way closer to the 50-50 that the -110 line would do it. And here's going to be some of my things. Number one, I don't understand how they're going to stop Giannis. DeAndre Jordan, right? He did okay in the regular season. All he really did was stay back, protect the rim, and allow Giannis to shoot those jumpers. It's the right strategy, but I don't know how sustainable it is long term. I also don't know how effective he's going to be after only playing like 5 minutes in the last 3 weeks. Like, did he even play in that last series?
10 straight DNP spread.
Yeah.
They're going to put him on the floor. He's going to be so rusty. Giannis is going to run right around him.
Yeah, Jeff Green would have been a nice defender to have against him. I know he's out tonight. We'll see when he comes back. That could change the series. It sounds stupid, right? But it really could because that's how much they need that defender here. And, I mean, it really comes down to it. It's like I understand if we go ahead and we cap the series off shot making, shot creation, shot potential, and ability to execute in the half court, advantage Nets all day. But you're going to tell me the defense doesn't matter and rebounding doesn't matter? I mean, the Bucks should absolutely crush the glass in this series, right?
Yeah, I think that's the props we target are rebound props.
Yeah. I think we already did, right? As you and I talked yesterday. Has that number moved since?
No, it's still 13.5 on Giannis.
Are you?
That'll likely be a bet for today.
Okay, cool. All right, let's talk about some other things on this series. So we talked about some issues that Brooklyn will have defending the Bucks. I think it goes the other way too. How do you think the Bucks go ahead and match up here defensively against this team here? Middleton on Durant, Tucker on Durant, like Holiday on Harden. I actually think that you try and shut down KD and Durant and let Kyrie go because I think he's the least adept at getting his teammates involved. And I'd rather duel against Kyrie than the other two.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be hard enough to stop the guy you just said his nickname and his name.
Yeah.
You said KD and Durant.
Yeah, I know.
That's how it's going to be that hard to stop him. You got to stop 2 of them.
Yeah.
But I get what I know you were talking about Harden because, I mean, he is the engine that drives his team. Mm-hmm. I think you have to put Holiday on him. Right. Just let Holiday be on the ball the whole game. if any of them three guys are going to beat you in the series, make it be Kyrie.
Mm-hmm.
I think you put Tucker in the game more and pull Lopez out and let Tucker guard Durant. But if he starts to get hot, then you have to put Giannis on him.
Exactly.
And then let Middleton kind of bounce around, maybe guard Kyrie, but I wouldn't put him on him the whole time because you're going to need him on the offensive end. You're going to have Pat Connaughton in the lineup too, so I could see them using him because he's an athletic guy, and he's not going to be really much on the offensive end other than threes. So they'll just be like, go out there and chase him around and just give him hell. I think that's the right way to do it, but we'll see what happens with Budenholzer. We've seen him make bad decisions before.
All right, and this is great because it's a perfect segue. We didn't even plan this. Right into my next topic. One thing I would just like to say to wrap that up. One thing that I would say is in the Bucks' favor. Did you hear all the options we gave when we're talking about the Bucks? It seems like they have more options. Whether or not they'll work against these prolific Hall of Fame scorers, we don't know. But at least they have options. But then you segued into the coaching, right? Budenholzer, right? We rated him pretty low amongst these playoff coaches, right? But these guys that we rated him low against, they're not here anymore.
Yeah,
Nick
now
Nurse.
He's got a brand new coach on the other side. So, I mean,
yeah, Nick Nurse is in here.
It's like, is history going to repeat itself, or is the more experienced coach going to have the advantage here?
And it was funny to me when the Heat beat the Bucks, Budenholzer was the worst coach on the planet, right? When the Bucks beat the Heat this year, I didn't hear one word about Spoelstra, and he got swept.
Yep.
And we didn't hear one word, right?
Spoelstra's got a couple championships to kind of back up his resume.
No, I agree. Spoelstra's a top 5 coach, but I'm just talking about how poorly we view Budenholzer and how we're just so loath to give him credit, right? When the Heat won, Spoelstra's so great, right? We didn't mention that they're all shooting 40% from 3, right? We didn't mention that. It's Spoelstra's such a genius.
I think it's part of the thing with like Budenholzer too is like he has the track record of running Atlanta out there to a first seed every year.
Yeah.
And then getting
running into LeBron James. And prime LeBron James, not
getting swept out of the playoffs.
Sprain, Mickey, yeah.
And then he goes to Milwaukee, runs them right up to the 1 seed, and they get 4-1.
Right.
So it was like, oh, here he goes again. But I mean, you know how the media is.
Yeah, and here's what I'm going to say. If he would have just sat on his hands and ran it back like Terry Stotts did, right, who just ran it back. Oh, we had a Covington. We don't really need to switch things. But Budenholzer, they did try to switch their defense. That's going to be a little unfair to Terry Stotts. But I don't want to get away from what I'm saying, and that's that Budenholzer did make adjustments. They switched from going the 5 out to running the 4 out with Giannis in the dunker spot. That's something brand new. They switched their defense. Instead of dropping on every pick and roll, they're trying to attack the threes more. It's not like he just sat on his hands. Great pedigree, right? I mean, he came out of the Pop coaching tree. I don't know. I think it's kind of weird. We're going into this playoffs thinking that he was going to be a net negative against Steve Nash, who I will give credit for some of the best out of timeouts that we've seen this year. Yep. So he's definitely a fantastic basketball mind, and I think he's just going to continue to get better. This is a rookie season. He is balancing egos, but what's going to come down when we actually need to make adjustments, because the Nets have got away with just out-talenting teams so far. Like those are great plays that he's running, but how much adversity has this team really faced other than injuries? And I would say that injuries aren't that hard for a coach to manage.
Yeah.
You got players in, you got players
How many
out.
of those were actual injuries and not just like rest?
Yeah. It's not, and I talked about this a little bit earlier when I was on Pickswise with Jeff. Milwaukee's got a pecking order, right? They know that Giannis is going to have the ball, and Giannis has no problem letting Middleton take that last shot, right? We kind of know what they want to do towards the end of the game. Is that an advantage or a disadvantage? Who's going to shoot these last shots for Brooklyn, assuming it's a close game?
Yeah, is one guy just going to hold the ball hostage while the other guys wave their hands around?
I personally would want Durant. I would say I would let everyone know, hey, he's number 1.
Yeah, I'd say Durant first, Kyrie second, Harden third.
Can you get away with that though? With guys that have had, I mean, we say they have big egos for good reason. They're 3 Hall of Famers. They didn't get this. They didn't get to this place in life by being humble, right? So
I mean, Kyrie did say this is the first guy that can make that shot that he's played with. So
unbelievable.
We'll see if that ego builds up and he's like, "Give me the ball," or if he's going to be like, "Well, let's see if he can make that shot."
I'm all down for the LeBron slander and all that fun, but that might be one of the most ridiculous quotes.
There's one topic in this series I can't believe you haven't touched on yet.
Let me hear it. Go ahead.
The Harden Giannis beef.
Oh yeah.
I knew you would love that. You're gonna eat that right up.
Too bad West Coast Jim's not in the chat today. He would love that. He would love that.
Yeah, I mean, remember a couple years ago the MVP race? He's like, he
Hmm.
doesn't know how to play basketball.
Yeah, he's like, I wish I was 7 foot, right? It would be real
Yo,
easy. I wouldn't have to develop any skills.
we'll see if any of
Um,
that comes back up in this series. See if they start bickering back and forth on the court.
yeah, I'll be interested. And our guy Greg Russo brought it up, and I said that on Thursday with title. I said, so standing next to KD, all of a sudden he's a clutch playoff performer because we've never seen it before, right?
I mean, yes, but I kind of want to argue that with the fact that like a guy that has the ball in his hands 90% of the time,
Uh-huh.
every game for 82 games,
Yeah.
is probably going to run out of gas when we get to the playoffs,
Hmm.
which he did every time.
Yeah.
So
So
it's like we'll see if it's like now you have help. Let's see if you can actually do this.
yeah, I mean, I agree.
And it's like he really didn't fold down the stretch that year. They took the Warriors to 7. It was Chris Paul's injury that did it.
Well, wasn't he part of the 0 of 27?
Wasn't
I
that
mean, how
the
many?
game 7 though? After he went down,
It's all a blur to me now.
he's like, I put that behind me.
I mean, those I had so much on the Warriors. Like those were like, like really stressful moments can kind of become blurry. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, that was the difference between a couple mortgage payments on each one of those series. So, yeah, it does kind of blur together. Another question I have for Brooklyn is health. Are we worried about any re-aggravations? We saw how big health was in a lot of these series, right? But I would say the Phoenix Los Angeles Lakers was a huge one, right? Where it was changing, right? First, Chris Paul's out. We write the Suns off. Oh, Lakers in 5. Then Anthony Davis goes down, right? Chris
yeah. Now
Paul
it's all
comes
of a
back.
sudden flip flop.
Yeah. I mean, Harden had a big hamstring injury earlier this year. Hamstrings are notoriously fickle. Are you concerned about that at all if you're a Brooklyn Nets backer?
I mean, it could possibly come back up, but I mean, them guys played a lot of minutes in that first series too,
Hmm.
and nothing ever came back up. So we seen KD take some hard falls in that first series too, bounce right
Yeah.
back up off the floor like nothing happened. You don't see that nowadays with NBA players. They lay there like they got shot.
It's so funny. So some of the stuff these guys do, and the funny thing is that we all laugh at them, and they're actually all like tough and in great shape, but they really do like to ham it up here. Oh, West Coast Gem is with us. West Coast, you missed the Giannis Harden beef, but we had to get a little drama in there. Devin says Greg's making some great points. I'll throw one of them on the screen. Um, Greg says, I can't believe a team that hasn't played together all year will beat a team that has been playing together for years and gotten better. Obviously, the counterpoint is 3 Hall of Famers versus probably one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. We got another question in here, and this one is going to be for you, Tyler. Player props. What are you looking at?
Giannis's rebounds, and of
Okay, and
course
I
we
already
know
bet
that
that with you yesterday.
this Milwaukee defense, they give up threes. Like it's just the way they're built.
Hmm.
Like they drop on screens. These guys are going to get open looks for threes. We can get KD over 2.5 threes at -110. He's shooting 8 threes against Milwaukee this season in their 3 matchups, and he's making 4 of them.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll take that chance. Maybe even play it up to a 3.5 at +200.
Wow. All right. I like that a lot. Anything else you're looking at?
I still got to look at a couple other things, but I mean, maybe get involved with like a Pat Coddington rebounds because
Hmm.
I could see if Brook Lopez gets played off the floor, he's going to have to be in that paint getting rebounds.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I got a question. So obviously we fell short last night, but we're still in the money because we're getting huge comebacks on this. If you were to go for a player performance double, what would you look for tonight?
Here, I'll look through the list now.
Yeah, look
Let me
look
pull
through
them
the
up.
list right now, and I'll talk to a couple chatters. West Coast makes a great point. Dante not good being there is going to be huge. I agree. I think he's a really good defender, and he takes away options because I would have liked to have him on Irving while I put Holiday onto Harden there. So obviously that will be a major drawback, and it'll be the place that I would expect Brooklyn and Steve Nash to attack because Tucker, Holiday are going to be your main defenders. We're going to want Giannis for the most of the game. We want him as a help defender. We want him roaming the paint. We want him to be able to get steals and get out in transition, and then he'll switch to one-on-one towards the end of the game. So yeah, I do definitely agree. Terlansky says that KD hasn't looked right. I think I would disagree. He's looked a lot better than I expected. Maybe I just didn't expect much coming off that Achilles. He also says Harden has the most in form out of all of them. He looks great. I can't argue with that. All right, Tyler, did you find a player performance double that you think that we should be looking at?
Yeah, if you want to back Milwaukee and you think they win this game,
Mm-hmm.
you could go Giannis 30 plus, and they win the game. What does that give you? Let me scroll back up. That gives you plus 250. I think that's a good look.
Mm-hmm.
You could also go at maybe a Drew Holiday
Mm-hmm.
at like 6+ rebounds or even 7+ assists because he has had the ball in his hands a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and that gets you plus 285. But the one I love, if you love Brooklyn to win this game, KD 3+ threes plus 210.
What is that?
It's KD 3+ threes and they win plus 210.
Wow.
And then you could also go James Harden triple double and they win plus 420.
I mean, on some of those, right? Couldn't you just hit a KD and a Giannis at plus 200 on both?
Yeah.
You're set. Whoever wins, as long as they get there.
Yep.
That's an interesting way to approach it too. Let's take a couple more questions from the chat.
Here, while you do that, I gotta run to the bathroom real quick.
All right. Well, it was going to be for you. So we will answer that question.
Yeah, I'll say give me 1 second.
Yeah, he's going to run to the bathroom. I'll take some more questions from the chat. Well, let's just go with Greg because I agree with you, Greg. I took the plus 950, and I remember JSU. They couldn't believe it. JSU and Travis couldn't believe it, but I took Milwaukee to win it all. I agree with you. West Coast says, I want to see if the Nets start DeAndre Jordan. I think they do. And we talked about that a little earlier. He hasn't played in 10 games, but he was the primary defender during the regular season, and he is big enough to contest Giannis at the rim. His strategy was to stay close to 5 feet off him and bait Giannis into shooting jumpers. As a Bucks backer, Giannis, when he's around the free throw line and in, that's fine. A little back, I get to worry. And sometimes I really worry about those open threes. I know that he needs to take them to keep the defense honest, but we don't necessarily think that that's the best shot. So now that Tyler is back, we can ask the prop questions. Shamit over on threes. Is that a prop, Tyler? What do you think?
I mean, I kind of like that one. He's taking 5 against the Bucks this year. He's making 2 of them on average. My worry is those 3 are going to take so many other shots if this is a close game. And we've seen a lot of his shots come in blowouts against the Boston Celtics. So, I really hate to get involved in that. Now, if it's at a nice plus price, maybe for a half a unit. Mm-hmm. But I think it's just better to target these 3 guys that are going to get all the usage and maybe even a Joe Harris. But after that, on the net side, it's really tough.
Yeah, it is going to be wild. I mean, at one point in that Boston game, they had scored or assist 110 of their 112 points.
Yeah.
In that Game 5 blowout here. Let's take a couple more. What about the Harden triple double?
Yeah, I like that one. I mean, he got a triple double in his last game. He's going to dish the rock out. The rebounds should be there for him too, and we all know he's going to get 10+ points. So
all right.
He's not going to Draymond Green us and get us 15 rebounds, 12 assists, and 6 points.
Yeah, that's for sure, right? So what would you be more worried about, the rebounds or the assists on that?
The rebounds.
I think so too.
If they pack the paint, Brook Lopez does get to play maybe 28 to 32 minutes, then he could just eat them up too, and then there's not enough rebounds for Harden to go around.
How do you expect? What do you expect from the Brooklyn Bigs here? What do you expect from Blake Griffin?
Try to get in Giannis's way. Maybe foul him hard a couple times. That's about it. They're really not going to be able to do much. I mean,
I think that's a terrible matchup. I prefer Jordan, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, you have to get Jordan on the floor. But, I mean, he's going to do the same thing to him. He's just going to bully him. He's going to go around him. He's going to make him foul him. And he's just going to stand there and shoot free throws. Now, he might miss a couple of them. But get those guys into foul trouble, and all of a sudden, they're playing very small against a big team.
Yeah. I got Wild Bear Cappers in the chat. What's up, Reg? She's been doing really well on the NBA and the tennis, 2 of my favorite sports. So what's up? Glad you're hanging out. Greg Russo, Forbes, over 5 threes made. That's pretty wild.
That's a ballsy play.
You're probably getting what, +3, +400?
I mean, maybe even +1,000.
Yeah. And West Coast thinks that Blake's going to play 25 minutes. So I think that we've gone through all the good questions in the chat. So Tyler, it's tough because we only have one game, but it's time to do it. What's your best bet for the day, side total or prop? And you know what? You can mix in tomorrow's games too because we will not be on tomorrow.
All right, we're gonna get not as fancy as we were getting the last couple of days.
All right,
but I do think Brooklyn wins this game today. I think they win it by a couple points. Instead of just taking them minus the 4, you could take them win margin, win by 1 point to 10 points at plus 170. So as long as they don't run them off the floor and this stays close, you're going to cash a plus 170 if they win the game instead of a minus 4 that you could lose if they win by 3.
All right. So since that's your best bet, and I like Milwaukee, but I don't want to go against you, I'll jump into tomorrow's games. I'm going to take the Atlanta Hawks money line. I do not trust the Philadelphia 76ers without Joel Embiid. And like I said, I do love Ben Simmons. I think I'm higher on Ben Simmons than most. I'm definitely higher on him than JSU and Mangone, right?
Yeah.
So I personally like Ben Simmons. I think this is a terrible matchup for him. I think Capella really is going to take away a lot of his effectiveness, as we talked about his ability to finish around the rim, the quickness, instinct, and just touch. I think Capella will mitigate a lot of that, and I do trust this Atlanta supporting cast to score a little more. I think that Trae Young matchup's really tough, and what I do like about Trae is if you do double him, he's really quick to pass and get his teammates involved. I trust Bogdanovich a lot. I think as much as our guy Title doesn't like Gallinari, I like him out there as an offensive threat.
Ben Simmons could learn something from Gallinari in this series. In that game five against New York,
haircut for Ben.
No, in that game 5 against New York, Gallinari couldn't make a shot, but you want to know what he wouldn't stop doing?
Yeah, what's up?
Shooting the ball.
Yeah,
he made that defense respect him. That's what you have to do. You can't just be a guy out there that's not going to shoot.
Yeah, I completely agree. And John Collins is the X factor here because I do think that he can survive without him playing well. But if he plays well, I think that's really tough here for this Philadelphia team to overcome. Of course, once again, right? And we didn't think it was going to be this way. Maybe we should have had a little more foresight with how condensed the season was, how short the offseason was. And, I mean, I don't want to hear this NBA players don't play defense. I mean, it's just like, no, they're just the most talented scorers in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, these are hard-fought games. I will agree it's 10 times less physical because it's played outside of the three-point line and not in the paint anymore. So they're not taking as many, but they still jump out the gym. It's just so much wear and tear on your body. I didn't think that injuries were going to be as big a deal as they have been. They have been. It's something we need to adjust to. But I just think it's so sad for the Sixers fans, a long-suffering fan base. I think they deserve success. They support their team. I like the way that they rebuilt the right way and not middling around like the Magic and the Kings and just being, less than average for a couple years. But without Joel Embiid, I just don't think this team can do it. I love Ben Simmons, but it's just not the time. And this Hawks team has the shooters that Ben needs. I mean, throw Ben in that Hawks lineup, see how well he looks, right? So it had to be if the Sixers are to win, Danny Green's going to have a huge game.
Yep.
So I'll bet against the Danny Green game. So that's why I'm going to take the Hawks plus 122. Tyler, won't be a best bet, but this is just a prediction, guys, just for fun, because I'll let you know. I'll let, especially the Run Pure members, right? I'll let you guys know if I make a play. But as of right now, I will be watching that Clippers game and just watching. I don't feel the need to get involved in that. I haven't identified an edge, but go ahead and make a prediction, but it doesn't necessarily need to be a pick that you're giving out that you want the people watching to tail.
Oh, I mean, Kawhi's going to do it again.
All right.
Give me one of those 30, 35 plus, and they win at like plus 200.
All right.
He's going to be all over them again. They're going to have no answer for him.
Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, I'm not involved, but I'm glad that you're taking a stand. And who knows? By tomorrow, maybe I will. Maybe I'll stumble on something. I do plan, because we do only have one game tonight, and it starts at 4:30 for me, so it'll be over by 7. I do plan on rewatching some of Game 6 last night. And if you were to suggest some, which other ones do you think I should watch to try and figure it out? I figured throw Game 1 and 2 out altogether, right? Because that's
Game 5.
You think rewatch Game 5?
Watch Game 5. I think that'll be your tell. That'll be like your telltale spot right there. You'll watch that game. You'll send me a message, and you'll be like, "Yeah, Clippers for Game 7."
Yeah, and remember, no dogs have covered so far, so it's been pick the winner. Even though 6.5 seems like a lot, they haven't been covering. So, um, or if you take the dog and they win, they've been win straight out in the
Yep.
Mavericks case. So, all right. Well, do you got anything else for us, Tyler, before we hit the road?
Nope, that's it.
All right, guys. Well, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. You know why you want to be subscribed? Because Keg Live goes later tonight, and his NASCAR run, I would say it's unprecedented, but he did it a couple years ago too, right? So it's
Yeah.
getting to be a habit at this point. And he was getting mad when we were on the show last Sunday because we were just assuming he was going to cash when he hadn't cashed yet, right? But that's how clockwork it's been. Of course, there's a UFC card tonight, and they will be breaking that down as well. I think Gavin will be in there with them. Maybe a Joey Work appearance. We always love those. And then he will also be back tomorrow. And if you are subscribed to the channel, you will get the alert the second he goes live. I'm not sure what my schedule is tomorrow, but I definitely am going to try and make an appearance and hang out for that Clippers game. But like I said, full disclosure, might not be giving out picks on that game. That series has me flummoxed, confused, and I don't think that there's anything wrong or that I lose any respect by saying I can't find an edge in that game. All right. So thank you for hanging out today. We will be back Monday with the NBA rundown. I'll be back with Hoop, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And the normal schedule for next week as we continue to handicap and cash these tickets for the NBA playoffs. So everybody, thank you for watching. Give us a thumbs up and run